CDL Practice Test, California, General Knowledge, Part 11. Question number 253. According to the state of California, you are considered involved in interstate commerce unless the cargo you are transporting, A, consists of waste or other hazardous substances, B, is headed for a location out of state, C, originates out of state, D, originates in the state and is headed for a location in the state. The correct answer here, D, originates in the state and is headed for a location in the state. Explanation. The only situation that does not qualify as interstate commerce is cargo originating in California and staying in the state. Question number 254. Which of these statements is true about the relationship between cargo and height? A, the weight of the cargo does not change a vehicle's height. B, an empty van is lower than a loaded one. C, the height of an empty van is the same as that of a loaded one. D, the weight of the cargo changes a vehicle's height. The correct answer here, D, the weight of the cargo changes a vehicle's height. Explanation. Cargo changes the height of a vehicle and thus can affect your overhead clearance. If you previously had cargo and now your vehicle is empty, it will ride higher, not lower, so you may not clear underpasses you previously did. Question number 256. If you have a hazardous fire, you should A, use dirt to put it out. B, use the fire extinguisher. C, call the proper authorities. The correct answer here, C, call the proper authorities. Explanation. When you discover a fire, call for help. You may use the fire extinguisher to keep minor truck fires from spreading to cargo before firefighters arrive. Question number 257. At what speed should you test the stopping action of the service brakes? A, 5 miles per hour. B, 2 miles per hour. C, 10 miles per hour. D, 15 miles per hour. The correct answer here, A, 5 miles per hour. Explanation. To test the stopping action of your service brakes, you should go at about 5 miles per hour and press the brake pedal firmly. If the vehicle pulls to one side or stopping takes longer than normal, it could mean trouble. Question number 258. During a pre-trip inspection, you discover an exhaust leak or power steering leak. You should A, note the problem and continue your route. B, go home because you shouldn't drive the vehicle this way. C, report the problem and make arrangements to use another vehicle. The correct answer here, C, report the problem and make arrangements to use another vehicle. Explanation. Report any problems that could jeopardize your safety or that of others or led to a breakdown. Don't drive the vehicle until those defects are corrected. Obviously the steering system is critical and must be in good working order. An exhaust system leak could let poisonous fumes into your cab or sleeper berth. Question number 259. Step 3 of the 7-step inspection method is start engine and inspect inside the cab. This step involves each of the following tasks, except A. Checking the air pressure gauge. B. Checking the transmission controls. C. Starting the engine, then putting the gear shift to neutral. D. Starting the engine, then listening for unusual noises. The correct answers here. C. Starting the engine, then putting the gear shift to neutral. Explanation. When performing this part of the inspection, you must put the gear shift in neutral, then start the engine and listen for any unusual noises. Once you perform the engine check, check all your gauges and controls, such as the air pressure gauge and transmission controls. Question number 261. Truck escape ramps, A. are designed to stop runaway vehicles safely without injuring drivers and passengers. B. should not be used unless you have already tried all other possible ways to save your vehicle after brake failure. C. cannot be used by certain types of heavy vehicles. The correct answers here. A. are designed to stop runaway vehicles safely without injuring drivers and passengers. Explanation. Escape ramps are located on many steep mountain grades. Escape ramps are built to stop runaway vehicles safely without injuring drivers or passengers. Escape ramps use a long bed of loose, soft material such as gravel to slow a runaway vehicle, sometimes in combination with an upgrade. Regardless of the type of vehicle you're driving or the other options open to you to stop your runaway vehicle, always look for one of these escape ramps. They can save lives, equipment, and cargo. Question number 262. What is the minimum tread depth for front tires? A. 1/32 inch. B. 2/32 inch. C. 4/32 inch. The correct answers here. C. 4/32 inch. Explanation. Front steering tires require a tread depth of at least 4/32 inch. Question number 263. The height of the vehicle center of gravity is very important for safe handling. A high center of gravity means you are more likely to do the following. A. increase stopping distance. B. increase speed going downhill. C. no answers are correct. D. tip over. The correct answers here. D. tip over. Explanation. The height of the vehicle's center of gravity is very important for safe handling. A high center of gravity means you are more likely to tip over. It is most dangerous in curves, or if you have to swerve to avoid a hazard. Question number 264. To avoid rollbacks when you start, you should A. engage the clutch very quickly. B. stop on a flat area. C. partly engage the clutch before you take your right foot off the brake. The correct answers here. C. partly engage the clutch before you take your right foot off the brake. Explanation. When you start your vehicle, avoid rolling backward or else you may hit someone behind you. Set the parking brake whenever necessary to keep from rolling back. Release the parking brake only when you have applied enough engine power to keep from rolling back. If you have a manual transmission vehicle, partly engage the clutch before you take your right foot off the brake. On a tractor trailer equipped with a trailer brake hand valve, the hand valve can be applied to keep from rolling back. Question number 265. Which of the following is not a true statement regarding covered cargo? A. You should check that you don't exceed gross and axle weight limits. B. In many states, spill protection for covered cargo is a requirement. C. You should cover cargo to protect it from the weather. D. You should regularly inspect the contents of sealed loads. The correct answer is here, D. You should regularly inspect the contents of sealed loads. Explanation. You should cover cargo to avoid harming people from spills and to protect the actual cargo from the weather. You should also check that you don't exceed gross and axle weight limits. You should not actually inspect the insides of sealed loads. Question number 266. You are driving in a work zone. Suddenly a construction vehicle pulls into your lane just ahead of you. What should you do? A. Stop quickly and pull to the side of the road. B. Swerve around it and get back into your lane. C. Use your four-way flashers or brake lights to warn others. The correct answer is here, C. Use your four-way flashers or brake lights to warn others. Explanation. When approaching a hazard in a work zone, warn the drivers behind you by flashing your brake lights or, if state law allows it, turning on your four-way flashers. Question number 267. Which of these statements about tires and hot weather driving is true? A. The air pressure of a tire decreases as the temperature of the tire increases. B. When driving in very hot weather, you should inspect your tires every 2 hours or every 100 miles. C. If a tire is too hot to touch, you should drive on it to cool it off. The correct answer is here, B. When driving in very hot weather, you should inspect your tires every 2 hours or every 100 miles. Explanation. Air pressure increases with temperature. In very hot temperatures, a tire may blow out or even catch fire. Check your tires every 2 hours or 100 miles. If any tires are too hot to touch, remain stopped until they cool off. Question number 268. While driving, you see a small, 1-foot square, cardboard box ahead in your lane. You should A. Brake hard to avoid hitting it. B. Steer around it without making a sudden or unsafe move. C. Hit it with your vehicle to knock it off the road. The correct answer is here, B. Steer around it without making a sudden or unsafe move. Explanation. You have no way of knowing what may be inside a seemingly harmless looking object on the roadway. Even cardboard boxes, paper or cloth sacks, or plastic containers may contain some solid or heavy material or a sharp object capable of causing damage. Always scan the roadway at least 12 to 15 seconds ahead so that you can spot such obstacles in time to steer around them safely. Question number 269. What is the restriction code on a CDL for not passing the air brakes knowledge test? A. AB. B. NB. C. I. D. L. The correct answer is here. D. L. Explanation. The restriction code for air brakes is L. If the driver does not pass the air brakes knowledge test, does not correctly identify the air brake system components, does not properly conduct an air brake systems check, or does not take the skills test in a vehicle with a full air brake system, the driver must have an L, no full air brake, restriction placed on his or her license, retrieved from https://www.fmcsa.dot.gov/registration/commercial-drivers/drivers. Question number 270. If your brakes get wet on a rainy day, what can result? A. Hydroplaning. B. Excessive brake wear. C. Reduced braking power. The correct answer is here. C. Reduced braking power. Explanation. Brakes use friction to convert the kinetic energy of your moving vehicle into heat. If the brakes get wet, the brake shoes or brake pads may produce less friction. The brakes will grab, apply unevenly, or become weak. When you try to brake, your braking distance may increase, your vehicle may pull to one side, or the wheels may lock. On a wet road, locked wheels can cause a skid, or even a jackknife if you're pulling a trailer. Question number 271. Which of the following statements about backing is true? A. Backing is always dangerous. B. You should back and turn toward the driver's side whenever possible. C. Both of the above are true. The correct answer is here. C. Both of the above are true. Explanation. Because of the limited visibility, avoid backing up whenever possible. If you must back your vehicle, back toward the driver's side. You'll be able to watch the rear of your vehicle from your driver's side window. Also use a helper if possible. The helper can stand near the rear of your vehicle and keep an eye on your blind spots. He or she can signal you to stop before an accident can occur. Question number 272. Which of these statements is true about warning other drivers of a stopped vehicle? A. Move the rear reflective triangle back if the driver's vision is obscured to within 500 feet. B. Keep the vehicle's taillights on to warn other drivers. C. Put out your emergency warning devices within 5 minutes. The correct answer is here. A. Move the rear reflective triangle back if the driver's vision is obscured to within 500 feet. Explanation. Other drivers should be able to see your stopped vehicle or its warning devices from at least 500 feet away in either direction. If your vehicle is obscured by a hill or curve, set out a warning device up to 500 feet behind your vehicle. Question number 273. You come upon an accident and somebody is severely injured. Which of the following should you not do? A. Stay out of the way if authorized personnel are already helping. B. Keep the injured individual warm. C. Apply direct pressure to wound. D. Try to move them out of the vehicle. The correct answer here, D. Try to move them out of the vehicle. Explanation. If somebody is severely injured in the aftermath of an accident, you should never move them unless absolutely necessary. If authorized personnel are already on the scene, it is best to stay out of the way unless you are asked to help. Question number 274. Which of these is a good rule to follow when steering to avoid a crash? A. Apply the brakes while turning. B. Steer with one hand so that you can turn the wheel more quickly. C. Don't turn any more than is needed to clear what is in your way. The correct answer here, C. Don't turn any more than is needed to clear what is in your way. Explanation. Do not turn any more than needed to clear whatever is in your way. The more sharply you turn, the greater the chances of a skid or rollover. Question number 276. Which of these statements is true regarding the use of drugs while driving? A. Speed and other amphetamines are allowed as long as you are using the drugs to stay awake. B. No prescription or non-prescription drugs are allowed at any time for any reason. C. Prescription drugs are allowed as long as your doctor says the drugs will not affect safe driving ability. The correct answer here, C. Prescription drugs are allowed as long as your doctor says the drugs will not affect safe driving ability. Explanation. Some prescription drugs can impair your driving abilities. Take a prescription drug only if your doctor assures you that it won't impair your driving abilities. Question number 277. You are starting your vehicle from a stop. As you apply power to the drive wheels, they start to spin. You should A. Try lower gear. B. Press harder on the accelerator. C. Take your foot off the accelerator. The correct answer here, C. Take your foot off the accelerator. Explanation. If so much power is applied to the drive wheels that it overcomes the tire's grip of the road, the wheels will spin. This is more likely to occur if the road surface is slippery. To stop the drive wheels from spinning, take your foot off the accelerator. Accelerate slowly and gently from now on. Question number 278. When a doctor prescribes medication for you and you know you will be driving, you should A. Ask the doctor if the medication will affect your ability to drive. B. Take the medication as well as other medications to keep you alert. C. Take the medication but stop taking it if you notice it is affecting your driving. The correct answer here, A. Ask the doctor if the medication will affect your ability to drive. Explanation. Some prescription drugs can impair your driving abilities. If your doctor prescribes a medication for you, be sure to ask him or her if the medication can impair your driving abilities. Question number 279. The oil pressure gauge should come up to normal within how long after starting the engine? A. Minutes. B. Seconds. C. It does not matter. The correct answer here, B. Seconds. Explanation. Once you've started the engine, You should see the oil pressure gauge immediately begin a gradual rise to the normal operating range. Question number 281. You can see a sign on a vehicle ahead of you. The sign is a red triangle with an orange center. What does the sign tell you about the vehicle? A. It is hauling hazardous material. B. It is a slow-moving vehicle. C. It is a law enforcement vehicle. The correct answer is here, B. It is a slow-moving vehicle. Explanation. This emblem on the rear of a vehicle identifies it as a slow-moving vehicle. The legal definition of slow-moving vehicle can vary slightly from one state to another, but it typically means a vehicle that doesn't normally travel faster than 25 miles per hour. Slow-moving vehicles include farm equipment, animal-drawn carts, and roadway maintenance vehicles. Vehicles that travel this slowly represent hazards. Spotting one early can help prevent a crash. Question number 282. At highway speeds, what distance should a driver look ahead? A. Drivers should look ahead as far as their vision permits. B. Drivers should look ahead about 2 blocks, 10 car lengths. C. Drivers should pay attention only to the traffic that is immediately surrounding them on each side. D. Drivers should look ahead 12 seconds to 15 seconds or a quarter of a mile. The correct answer is here, D. Drivers should look ahead 12 seconds to 15 seconds or a quarter of a mile. Explanation. Drivers should look 12 seconds to 15 seconds into the distance so that they have time to make a lane change or slow down if the need arises. Note, if your state DMV manual suggests differently, please go by their standards. But this is the standard for most states, such as this one, from Virginia. Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles. 2007 Virginia Commercial Driver's Manual. Page 119, 123, 124, 38.